committed relationship? Looking for real advice on having love and enriching your relationship? You are in the right place. Welcome to the Couples Expert with Stuart Fensterheim.
Hello, and welcome to the Couples Expert Podcast. This is Stuart Fensterheim, the Couples Expert. This is episode 114 of our podcast. I am so happy that you're with me again today. Today's podcast is about the power couples, also known as copreneurs. These are couples who are both in love and in business together. Working in the same company or business with your spouse and partner can pose some unique challenges. My podcast today is going to give some tips and advice for couples who are in business together and how to manage the work, life, and love balance that's necessary for a happy and solid relationship, both at home and at work. But before we do that, I want to share something that is a recent experience my wife and I had. We recently went to Florida to visit my father on a way to a trip for a cruise that's out of Miami, and my dad lives in Hollywood, Florida. And what we did is we stopped over there to see him. What was so very special about that for me was seeing my father, who lives in Florida, and we went to see a highlight game. We've never done that before, and I don't know how many of you know what highlight is, but it's sort of a combination of lacrosse, soccer, and a whole bunch of different things. But the most important thing is that sitting there, it really reminded me of the times as a kid that my dad and I would shoot golf balls, race miniature cars, and in New York they had little stores that you can go in, and these were electric cars that were on a track, and you would actually steer the cars together. And he and I would go and we'd race these, and it was so incredibly fun doing that with him. And also going to the Yankee games. Now, I want to be clear about this. Not the Met games, but Yankee games, because the Yankees is our team. My dad is now 90 years old, and it was really special to be able to continue to have these kinds of new experiences with him. And sharing my vacation with him was even more special because it really reinforced how lucky I am to still have him in my life. Because my dad's 90. So many people have lost their parents, and it's really why I stress so much how important it is to not let opportunities go by without making sure that your relationship with the important people in your life is secure. Having a secure, loving relationship with your family, with your spouse, with your partner, is really what makes the world go round. And I was able, in a brief stay, to really stand back and look and really feel just so very lucky that I have been able to really be vulnerable and share with people in my life who I know love me and they know how I feel about them, just really creating the love we need. That's really why I do these podcasts, because my goal with the podcast is really to be able to create an experience for all of you to stand back and think about what matters. And if I can share and have you feel the importance of this and see that you have in your hands something really valuable, an ability to have a relationship with your wife, with your husband, with your brother, with your sister, with your children, that is about having a relationship where you know that you're not alone in this world. Your entire day-to-day life just changes. The sun comes out and you feel so very fortunate that you have the life you have. And that's what I hope to be able to continue to offer to all of you every week on this podcast. A quote that really struck me as being appropriate for today's topic is by Harry Truman. And he said, "It's amazing how much you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit. Why that holds true here, especially for copreneurs, is that when you're working together, building a life and a company, you can't compete with one another. There's no way that will work. You have to be united both in purpose and in vision and truly be a true team. First, let's define what a copreneur is. A copreneur is a couple, and there are really three basic types of entrepreneur couples that have to be distinguished. First, what I am is what we call a solo entrepreneur, and that's someone who has their own business but have a supportive spouse, and my spouse is really there for me in helping me with running ideas by her, etc., but isn't directly involved with the business. Then we have what's called a dual entrepreneur couple, and then we have a copreneur couple. Dual entrepreneur couple are couples in which each partner is committed to and involved in running their own business. So basically, husband and wife, and each person having a separate business, and you're supportive of each other's business. In contrast to these two kind, what we're going to be talking today about is more about the copreneur couple, and these are people who are both involved in a joint business, and neither one of you pursue any other business outside of the business that you've created together, and it's one in which there's a shared vision. Not everyone wants to keep their personal and work life separate. And I hear so often from people that no way that I want to go into business with my husband because that would be just too much involvement all the time. We'd get sick of each other. While other couples might say, what's more exciting than that? To be in a business where you can share the love that you have for one another with the passion that you have with the business. Many copreneurs actually create the business together. It's not always the case, but sometimes one person comes in after the person has started a business. But for the most part, the two of you have really co-founded this business. And you both take up leading positions in the business, one maybe as a CEO, one as a chief financial officer, but the business is run by both of you, and both of you equally are invested in that business. What we know is about 1/3 of family businesses are run by a husband and wife team. Of all the copreneurs out there, which I like to call the power couples, the ones that are successful both in business and in the relationship, they all have some similar attributes and practices and similar philosophies. That's what we're going to be talking about. One of the most important one is that they agree on these principles. They agree that you have to have trust, communication, respect, and commitment for each other. And if your relationship is fragile, it may not work. So one of the most important things is you have to work, if you don't already have, to have a very strong and secure relationship. When you start out as a couple and you're now in business together, it really is do or die. It's certainly not for everyone. And unless you have a secure relationship, one in which you truly feel like your partner has your back, this isn't going to work for you. Because a business partnership without that security can truly destroy the relationship. So it's crucial that both of you are on the same page with your vision for your life together, including your vision on your business, and the business plan have to be a joint venture. It can't be one of you making the business plan and the other just following along. Your joint vision is what you'll return to time and time again if things aren't going well. If you feel like one or both of you might be veering off track, you have to have a concrete document, a concrete plan that you can turn to and say, are we following this? You need to go all in, and I've done a couple of podcasts on going all in, And this past couple of weeks in my office, I've been talking a lot with couples about having to invest 100% and not giving yourself an out. This can be really scary, though, to put all your eggs in one basket that way. But your commitment to each other and your joint vision of your business has to line up together. It will be a determining factor in your success. So let's talk a little bit about what is it going to take and what are some of the tips and advice I can offer you for being successful in your copreneur relationship. One of the first ones is you have to have a clear definition of the roles and responsibilities in your business. Each of you are going to bring to the table some particular individual talents, strengths, and weaknesses. You have to make sure that you maximize those and that you have clear boundaries where your roles begin and where they end. If you have employees, they have to know who do they go to. Make sure you maximize these boundaries. This will eliminate a ton of conflicts and, more importantly, the misunderstanding. You each have your own role to play in your company and into the relationship, and you should never blur those lines. Don't interfere with your partner's role. Don't ever do that. Never undermine or criticize them, especially in front of others. But more importantly, you shouldn't do that at all, because your partner has to feel that you believe that they are the best asset for your business. My second tip is about work-life balance. You have to set particular hours for when you're at work and when you get home. When does the business day begin? Don't bring work home and don't take your personal issues to the workplace. There has to be a division between the home and the office. Make sure you know when to switch it off and just relax and be a couple together. Above all, there can't be any shop talk in the bedroom. What I mean by that is if you have the need to talk about your business, you need to have a business meeting, and that shouldn't be in the home. You should take that away from the house. You have to be kind and patient with each other. You know how much stress there is involved in your day. Your partner has the same. Pick up the slack for one another and help each other and work together to carve out individual time to pursue your own interests. One of the things that if you work out of your home and you have office space, I recommend separate offices. Don't put the two of you together. And when you need to talk business, don't walk into your other partner's room. They may be in the middle of something. You need to call them as if it's someone outside of your business and ask if it's a good time to talk. More often than not, your partner is going to know that if you're calling them, their most highly respected and highly skilled team member is calling them. Take the calls. Don't let that call go because you know it's your partner. And be respectful when you're talking about issues to one another. Having a copreneur relationship can be all-consuming, and you can lose sight of your individuality and that the two of you are not just in business together, that you have a relationship and your intimate life matters. If you talk about business in the bedroom becomes a stressful place. The bedroom, as I've said somewhat jokingly, but very seriously, should be really for three different things. It should be for sleeping, it should be for relaxing, and it should be for making love. Any other thing should be outside the bedroom. The bedroom has to be a really defined place where it's a comfortable, easy, low-stress place to be. I also don't recommend talking about business when children are around. You have to know when you clock in and know when you clock out, as I've said, and you have to hold each other accountable to that. One of the things you realize, I hope, is that this is a choice that the two of you have made because you believe that this is going to make you happy. You need to pursue the things in your life, not just in your business, that do make you happy, and have outside influences. Allow each other to have an individual time away from one another. Celebrate your successes. Take time for each other to be a couple outside the office. You've done this because what you've realized is having your own business gives you freedom. Allow there to be freedom to also take a little bit of time off. Maybe periodically the two of you go out to lunch together, have a long lunch, spend time together, make love during the day, even during the workday, if that fits for the two of you. Because what you want is to really believe and feel that your love life, your life with your partner doesn't end because you're in business together. And allow yourself the luxury to feel really the freedom of having a relationship with your business partner that is exciting, fulfilling, and gives you something special. If you're financially successful, and if the business is working, be proud of each other. Let each other know how wonderful it is. And spend time really celebrating the success of your business. One of the things, and I don't want you to sort of think about this in a negative way, but realize the decision that you've made doesn't have to be forever. And if it's not working, be willing to turn to each other, look at the business plan and say, this isn't working for us. We may have to modify what we do. You can always change this. But for most copreneurs, they find that this is really something that works. I want to remind everyone that you don't have to take notes while I'm talking because we do show notes on every single podcast. And one of the things that I don't want you to do especially is if you're listening to this in your car, don't be writing notes as you're driving. So you'll have everything you need in the show notes. And I also want to remind everyone that you can subscribe to the Couples Expert Podcast on iTunes and also on my website, which is www.thecouplesexperts.com. And there you can have access to the entire library of the Couple Expert Podcast. You can read my blog and find other couples resources there as well. I also have a YouTube channel that I wanted to make sure everyone is aware of called the Couples Expert Scottsdale YouTube channel. There you can find my 3 Minutes with Stuart videos, tips and advice for love and relationships. The other thing that you'll be able to do is to sign up there. It will also give you even the small changes that you need to make right now that you can do today to make your relationship with your partner closer, more loving, and feeling more bonded to one another. Power couples. We were talking about power couples. Power couples often relate being in business with each other to raising a child, and I think it's a good analogy. You want to devote your time and energy to building a life together. And if your company is your baby, you're going to devote yourself to that 100% in the beginning. But there's going to come a time when your child will be able to function on its own and you can allow it to run without you. If not entirely, but with less and less supervision needed. That's where you and your partner can do some reevaluating of the situation. And while keeping your joint vision in mind, you can plan for the next chapter of your lives together. This may mean retirement or selling the business. Perhaps you'll be ready to diversify. You might be tired of working this hard in this kind of life and be ready to pursue something else. Don't limit yourself. Power couples focus on their strengths and play off each other's strengths because they know that is the way to succeed. Respect and understanding, it goes a long way, feeling like all the time and effort that you're putting in is really worth it. And the two of you have built something really incredibly special together. something you can be truly proud of. What it takes for that to happen is incredible communication. There has to be good communication. It's so critical between business partners, especially copreneurs. Even if couples consider themselves that they communicate well, they often find that if you're talking business and you're talking about finances, there's more of a challenge. It's not the quantity of the communication that's important. It's the level of it. The real factor that determines how well you work together is the quality of the communication. If you make an effort to have honest, respectful conversations with each other, even when difficult issues arise, you're in a much better position to navigate the tricky terrain that comes with running a business together. Listening skills. When we talk about communication, we talk about communicating. People generally think of that as the talking. But I think the key here isn't just sharing, but it's how do you do with the listening part. A large part of what will make your communication effective is how you listen. Listen isn't just using your ears and hearing the words. It means making a conscious effort to really sense what's being said in between the words and being able to be empathetic, being able to really understand. One of the best business coaches that I've ever heard speak says, the better you listen, the more you'll be listened to. Many people tend to listen with an agenda. I talk a lot about when your partner is sharing things in a personal relationship, you can't be thinking about your comeback. You can't be thinking about what do they really mean. You need to take people on face value and trust that what your partner is saying is really what they mean. Don't plan your response. If you're a copreneur, make sure you're always a good listener. When your partner is talking, remember the WAIT, W-A-I-T. It stands for, why am I talking? Why aren't I just listening? The two of you, I talked about business plans, have to have mutual goal setting. You always should review your business, your personal and relationship goals on an annual basis. Couples in business are especially susceptible to not doing this because they have a plan and they think it's good. And they think it's good forever. But every 30, 60, 90, 120, 6 months, you need to go and reevaluate and say, does it all fit still? Things change so quickly. Just because you wanted the same thing when you started out doesn't mean your goals are always the same. Review your goals every single year at a minimum and check that the two of you are both as happy and satisfied with your role in your business as you've always been. You have to respect each other's differences. It's possible that you were attracted to each other initially because of your differences. But as we know, if you're in a relationship for any time, sometimes the thing that attracted to your partner or the thing that's driving you crazy when you've been together a bit. It's important for copreneurs especially to understand and respect each other's strengths and weaknesses. Each of you will be good at some things, but not so good at others. Your interrelationship, your joining, takes your strengths and weaknesses and puts them into one pot and allows the two of you to really have the best of all worlds. Financial stress is one of the more important problems that come with a copreneur business, where the two of you recognize that going into business has some risk associated with it. And what happens is a great deal of financial stress and cash flow issues. And for so many copreneurs, the financial stress is often cited as the thing that created the divorce among married couples. And when we're talking about copreneurs, you can multiply that when you're running a business together. Business often is cyclical. Sometimes the cash flow really created tremendous stress. Unless you have financial reserves in place, it's really tough. A good example is I'm just got back from my cruise. That's 2 weeks without any income. And unless I had saved all year for this, and we did, I would be coming back incredibly stressed. And when I'm gone, could I really let go and relax? I'll tell you, I wouldn't be able to. And if you ask some of the people that work with me, they'll tell you I won't. It is so very important because this year, more than any year, I left for my vacation feeling content that I have the reserves to take a vacation with my wife and enjoy it. Be aware that both of you come from backgrounds where money had a personality and a meaning behind it. Unless you understand each other's financial personalities, it makes it tough to handle these things. So you have to talk about these things. I hope these things have been helping you understand what it takes to really develop a relationship with your partner where you can be copreneurs and you can have a relationship that is fulfilling and loving and caring. I'm going to wrap it up today. I hope you'll join me next week because next week I'm going to have a guest, Sonia Barari, who will be talking about discernment counseling. Discernment counseling is a way for couples to look at their options before making a final decision about divorce. It is most appropriate for couples where one partner wants to preserve and repair the relationship and the other is leaning toward ending it. Discernment counseling differs from regular marriage counseling in 3 ways. 1, the goal is not to solve the problems in the relationship, but to figure out whether or not you should be together. The process involves mainly individual conversations with each partner, since they each have different needs and agendas. It's short-term, and we'll be discussing how this type of counseling can be helpful for those relationships that are really at a point where you're trying to figure out if you should be together or not, and how relationships can be saved, and how the couple can be healed and brought back even from the brink of divorce. I hope you come and listen. It's going to be a great show. So to all the copreneurs out there, power couples, couples who are in business together, I hope you've taken something from today's podcast that's going to be helpful. You're a special couple because you successfully live, love, and work together. Until next week, this is Stuart Fensterheim, the Couples Expert, saying, stay in communication, stay committed, and above all, stay connected. We're in this together. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.